dear.
I'll click the record button. That's okay. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As you all know, today we, I'm starting a little bit early, about 4 minutes early. Um, the topic of my little workshop seminar sort of style is tips for publishing research papers, and the focus is on
Uh,
graduates.
Dr. Ibrahim, excuse me.
Yes.
And inshallah, we'll start at 7, يعني exactly at 7.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
give some
I,
time for
I
other
think.
participants to join. Yeah, and I should introduce you actually before we start. Your voice is a little bit low to me. I don't know how it looks with
Okay.
the other part. Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
How is it now? It's good now.
Great, great, crystal
Okay.
clear.
I have new headphones, and I think the microphone is different from my old one. Um, is it
Uh-huh,
clear
that's
when I
right.
speak now? Yeah.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Could be.
It, is it clear now when I speak now?
Now it
Like
is
much
fantastic.
clearer?
Yes, wonderful.
Okay. I found I found the microphone then. So I'll
Great.
be quiet now until 7 o'clock if that's okay.
Uh, Take a long breath and relax.
Okay. All right then.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everybody. Now it's time to start, inshallah, and inshallah, Dr. Ibrahim is ready. He's trying to share his screen. I'm sure that most of you know Dr. Ibrahim very well. We always call Dr. Ibrahim the NI, the intelligence gem of the university. Dr. Ibrahim is a digital transformation leadership and human capital developer hailing from the United Kingdom, of course, with a strong background in policy analysis for strategic planning. Dr. Garba has proven expertise in the field of linguistics, Currently serving as a trainer at King Abdulaziz University, Dr. Garba specializes in blended learning and e-learning, electronic learning. His profile is distinguished by practical and reflective research on the application of learning theories within the academic setting. With a keen interest in the field, Dr. Ibrahim work focuses on the integration of learning theories to optimize educational outcomes in the 21st century. His career has spanned over the last 25 or 26 years within the Middle East region. If you still remember his previous wonderful workshop was about generating strong arguments for better writing. And inshallah, you'll enjoy another excellent workshop today presented by Dr. Ibrahim about tips for publishing research papers for especially targeting the graduate students. The floor is yours, Dr. Ibrahim.
Thank you very much for that wonderful welcome, and Dr. Kamal. And it's a pleasure for me to be here once again. And so I begin once again, as Dr. Kamal also started. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, everybody. Welcome to our wonderful Writing Center seminar stroke workshops. Uh, the Writing Center at the English Language Institute, mashallah, has some amazing uh, seminars and workshops for you guys. So, really, it's a pleasure to be part of it. And there are more experts, waiting to meet you all in other of our planned seminars, inshallah. So, as I've been introduced today to discuss with you guys, because this will be more or less a discussion sort of format, though I will be presenting. What I would like to do is to do something which is a little bit different, though the topic is about tips for publishing and research papers, especially for graduates. This is my picture, which you will see at the university. I always use this picture because somehow it connects with my students and also my colleagues. Um, in terms of some of the uh, strong points for publishing, I'm going to start with a very, very sort of like a heavy hand by quoting what Ali and Zaid discussed, especially focusing on Saudi students, which is to do with their some of the inabilities that they face when writing for publication, especially in research for research purposes. So, some of their argument was that students need tips for conveying their ideas and sharing their voices and also referencing, because when you have the ability to provide these references and to be able to use online resources, and you have the knowledge that you need to be able to make use of the libraries and so on, you should be published. And I'm looking at publication using this as some of the tips that you need. So it will pay a lot if you remember these tips, because from their research they've shown that most students would somehow, I suppose, agree that uh, in terms of the interest they have for writing, many of them say that they don't feel like writing is mandatory. They feel because they have to write. That's why they write, and this is why they've got like 40% of the students that they research said that I'm only writing because I'm forced to write. But what about those people who are capable of writing and they want to write and publish? So though some people disagree that the writing is mandatory, it's about 33% of them, and some remain neutral. We can see that there's a high interest in terms of writing, amongst people who want to research uh, for the purpose of publishing in journals. So, how do we overcome some of these challenges so that we can publish? Well, today I'm going to do something different. I'm going to look at something called the ONDAS framework, which is a powerful tool that you can use to meet the challenges of writing. I'm looking at this because it will assist us as researchers when we want to set out the clear problems and statements, and list the objectives and so on, so that we can contribute to whatever it is that we are looking at. And the thing is, publishers love the fact that We are focusing on, these things here. They love it. So if you meet these objectives, you should get your paper published, right? This is the argument. So the the possibilities are endless, basically, if you have some kind of a framework to use. So the Ondas framework that I'm looking at here will make three things possible. The first one is that it will simplify the research process. So when you're researching, you should have certain steps that you follow, and having a framework to guide you is a useful tool. The second thing is that it helps you when you're writing different parts of the research paper, because as you know, if you've written any research paper, there are many parts to it, and one of the things that the paper needs to have is precision. If it's a good journal that you're targeting, they will look for these things because you need some sort of uh, argument, and you need to lay the argument according to what those arguments are in your paper. So if you're in the introduction, for example, there are certain things that are required. If you're looking at the literature review or the methodology you're going to use, or even the method you will employ, you need to follow certain steps within those particular parts of your paper. So, lastly, you need to be able to work with others. Many people that I know, especially amongst the professors, they love to write and publish on their own. And we have many, many wonderful professors. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. Some of them, they do it because they want to increase their rankings at the university. Others, it's because they just like to work alone. But if you're a graduate, or if you're a student about to graduate, one of the things you need to adopt right now is how to work with other people. You can't do everything on your own, and I promise you, if you learn to collaborate with others, you will get published. Um, it might not be in the top journals. It could be in the top journals, but publication is publication, right? The idea is, when you look at the way that I've looked at the ways that Ondas can help you within these three ideas, they should help you to get published. So, what's the purpose we're looking at here? Well, as I said at the beginning, we have some challenges, and some of them is the struggles we face when we want to get our papers published. And sometimes we have this idea of uncertainty that comes to us. I want to publish this article. Why aren't they accepting my paper? I've written to them, they haven't replied, and so on. So, you know, you're in the right place if these are some of your concerns. And what we're going to do here is to explore this Ondas framework to see how the tool itself will help you address these challenges. Um, like I said, I'm introducing this idea, so the rest of it is up to you to sort of like follow it up to see where it will lead you to. At the end of the my sort of discussion here, I've got references for you, and I think we also share the slides. So and there's a video that we will also upload, so you can have access to this particular presentation. So let's embark on this journey together. The purpose here is to explore how the Ondas framework can make you a powerful publisher, a powerful writer. So, what we're going to discuss is the methods, the challenges that we face in our approach, or in our method to getting published. Now, what Ondas does is it allows you to have four levels that integrate your writing. We're going to look at the first level here, which is a combination of parts that look at your research methods, the management, the tools, and psychology, which help you to guide your project and also promote your data triangulation. What this basically means is your paper has a purpose, and in that purpose, the way you write, what you write, the data you gather, and why you want to gather it, and the conclusions you have, and all of these things, they all come together beautifully. This is what it means here. If you do this, there's no reason why it can get published, right? And if you notice, I'm not saying you should write about X or you should write about Y. I'm not talking about this because that should come from your, the 4 years you've spent studying, right? Here we're talking about how to get published. So, in terms of this first level that we're looking at here, let's look at the research method, for example. What does it mean? So this means that I want to write about something, and I've chosen a certain method that I need. But this method has certain questions that I need to look at and certain goals that I need to also focus on. So we'll look at some examples later on. But at the method level, what I'm looking at is how to match what kind of information I need and how I can plan to do the research. So if a journal paper reads your, if a journal, sort of like an editor of a journal reads your paper, and they can't understand what your methods are, uh, they will refuse your paper. And what it means is you yourself don't know what the methods are in your paper. So if you don't know what the methods are in your paper, why should somebody else? So the idea is, why will a journal refuse your paper if your methods are sound? So you need to make sure that your methods are absolutely crystal clear from the beginning, so that everything you do is aligned, everything you do is in sync. And if you do that, this is why all the good papers get published, basically. I'm not sure there's a question here, so I want to go to the file. Um, okay, so the beeps I hear are people joining the session. So I'm going to ignore the classroom and just stay on the slides for now. So please forgive me if I ignore anybody's hands up uh, for the time being. So um, back to the slide. We have an example of a case here, which is a researcher who is looking at a study which aims to investigate healthcare access in undeserved communities. But they struggle with defining their clear research goals. So, you see, because they don't have a method from the very beginning, which will guide what they need, the goals they need. So the problems these researchers have are pretty huge actually, because they are uncertain about whether they should focus on understanding what stops uh, people from having access to healthcare. They have a problem with evaluating uh, their existing programs. Maybe they didn't do a good literature review. Maybe they didn't understand what the problem was. There's so many issues that come from not having a clear goal. Perhaps they even have a problem proposing new solutions. So they did everything correctly, but the way they proposed their solutions didn't match the kind of things they discovered. So the lack of clear research goals can stop or develop your research from being published. So can you see the issues that the publishers will face if you send them your paper for publication? They don't know what challenges you identified. They don't know what problems you faced. So they wouldn't want to publish that. You see, and at this stage, we can look at, for example, some of the guidance and focus that we can use to help us maybe achieve our goals. So one of them is to define the purpose of your research. I'm sure everybody's heard of Cresswell. Cresswell has a book on research, and in his book, there's like a template that he uses. And some of these templates are clear. They sort of like identify where you need to have a purpose for your research. And then within those types of templates, he focuses on the type of approach you have for your research. So, are you doing an ethnographic study? Are you doing a sort of like a, I don't know, grounded theory or case study? What methodology are you using to answer the question? So, the clear objectives that you have needs to align with the approach that you use to uh, research your paper. So, if it's clear in your mind, then you and your team will also understand what you need to accomplish your goals. Again, editors look for this when they decide whether to publish your paper or not. So, uh, if you think about the efficiency of your research, you can save a lot of time and resource if your goal is clear also. Because what it means is that because you chose the right method to gather the data for your paper, you also have activities that you can do to meet those goals. So this way, you don't have to, for example, if you're doing interviews, you know, okay, I'm going to gather data from certain people. Are you going to gather that data? Are you going to be able to state that you hired people to gather the data for you? Are you working in a team? So many different things that you need to think about, which will help you achieve the goals of your study within the time that you have. Because when you're researching, don't forget, you might be studying, you might be working, you might have a family, you don't have enough time to do many things. So efficiency here is to save yourself a lot of time and resources to achieve the goals of your study. Very important if you want to publish. The question is, at this stage here, did you also include something about publishing? So, did you target the publishers? I'll talk a little bit more about this later on. Um, but one particular important goal that you should have is how to measure the progress and success of your study. So, within your research, you've looked at the things, the outcomes. You've looked at the things that you want to achieve, the objectives. You know, you've done You've gathered the data from the quantitative studies. You've probably done an experiment. You've done all these things. But are you sure that the research that you're doing aligns with your intentions in the goal, in the actual paper itself? So you need to be able to measure a lot of things. If you can't measure it, the publisher wouldn't even touch your paper, because when they read it, they can't see how you measure these things. So again, it's not just about um, talking about the little things that you need to do to uh, achieve the publication, like completing the forms and so on. In your paper itself, one of the things you need to think about is, are my variables, so to speak, measurable? Did I use them correctly to achieve that particular goal? Here's a very good example of language learning case. I use this because I assume that some of you might come from an English language teaching background. So here's a paper about enhancing language learning through mobile apps. One of the papers I did with a very wonderful colleague at the English Language Institute called uh, Al Sawaya. Dr. Najat Sawaya, we worked on WhatsApp, which is one of her papers, one of her group of students in 2001, I think, 2021. And we tried to improve the language learning of the students using the mobile app called WhatsApp. This is back before the pandemic. So we focused on designing and testing, and we encouraged some sort of consistent language practice. We looked at communicative language theory, and we concluded that this led to an increase in engagement and proficiency of the students in the language learning, because we tested them also. So you see, we actually have some kind of challenge that we can talk about. And we made it clear in our paper also, because we want to enhance the language learning of our students. We wanted to use the mobile app, and we designed and tested the features that we want focusing on, especially whether they were going to listen to something, or they were going to watch a video, or they were going to share the information in WhatsApp. Now, if you make these things clear in your paper, the publisher will say, "Oh, this is a good paper, and this paper can get published." So, when you have a challenge, remember, because it's part of the research, write it down, put it in the paper, so that the person reading it can actually see the challenges that you faced. One of the problems also we faced was to do with the design and testing of the app itself. So we had like a survey, and in the survey we asked the students to tell us about some of the challenges that they faced. One thing we could do was improve our paper, which we did in a second paper that we're about to publish again. So we will state this in our paper, and we will connect it with the previous paper. You see, so this is kind of like a conversation that we're having, not only with ourselves, but with the reader themselves. So remember, as you write, you also have a reader, and when the person is reading your paper, it's like you're communicating with them. So here's another example, and it's to do with the challenge that ensures, maybe if you have an app and you want to use it for language learning, you want to make sure that it resonates with a diverse uh, uh, user. And because Dr. Al Sawaya, she had, I think, 20 students in her group, we couldn't include everyone. So these kinds of limitations themselves can be stated in the paper. Uh, we also encountered problems of measuring the impact of these features. So, as I said, whatever it is that you're facing, turn it into your paper so that you can use it. And because your paper requires you to understand where you're coming from, look at how your approach, whether it's to do with case studies, or, for example, ethnography or grounded theory or phenomenology, or whatever it is you're looking at, look at how it talks about limitation, and include that in your paper. It will give your paper a lot of validity. Uh, Another good case is something like improving medical English language proficiency in healthcare professionals. So here we have researchers working to enhance the medical English language proficiency of healthcare professionals, and they're coming from a diverse language environment. So everything is clear who the participants are, and then what did they do? And the researchers developed and implemented a customized language course, and the result is what? Uh, they improved the medical terminology, and they enhanced the communication of the students. So you can see what they did, and you can also see how they did it. This is something that the publishers will be looking for. Now, the task I have for you is to think about the challenges, the problems that these researchers can identify, and can you see how they can turn them into something useful in their paper? This is something you can do on your own, and it will give you an idea of your own paper when you want to publish, what to look for, and things like this. Now, we talked about the research method. The second part is management. How do you manage your paper? The different parts of your paper need to run smoothly. So here I'm talking about the things that are really crucial to your publication, but it's often ignored. We're talking about the schedules. We're talking about keep an eye on things before, they get out of hand. We're talking about making sure that from the beginning you have enough time to achieve your goals and you're not spending, too much money on, so many things that are not part of your research. So what I'm saying is include the journals that you want to publish at before you finish writing. So target the journal, look at what they want. So as you're doing your research, you are thinking about the type of approach they have to writing. You're thinking about what you need to include. So you don't wait until the end, you see, of your paper, of your experiment, of your research. You don't wait until the very end and then you target the journal. No, part of managing your research is to make sure from the very beginning you know what the journal wants and you target that particular aspect of the journal when you're writing. So as you're writing, you're seeing whether you need to add something to the paper or not. And rest assured, the editor will tell you that your paper is good because you met the criteria of their journal or whatever the goal they have is at that particular issue, and they will tell you whether you need to check the language or you need to edit something out, because it's normal for you to have your paper edited because it gets reviewed, you see, as you publish. Your paper goes to one person, and you all know this because you're all graduates. You've had your instructors and your supervisors look at your work 1,000 times. You've written and rewritten and you've sent it back. So it's the same thing with publishing. The publishers will look at your work and say, "Oh, okay, it's good, but you need to do this, you need to do that." So never think that your work is final when you send it to the editor. It's good and it's worth publishing. Uh, Make sure that you meet the criteria that they set out first while you're writing. Don't wait till the end to do this. So you target that journal and you don't do anything else but focus on that particular journal, uh, and you will get published if you do that. Another thing is to think about the tools you need. So here I'm talking about picking the right tools that meet the particular method you're interested in. I don't know if I told you guys this story before, but many of the mechanics that I go to and I see here in Jeddah, because we're living in Jeddah, if you have a problem with your car, some of them they take a screwdriver and they put a screw to fix it. So if you have an accident and you need it to be fixed, the guy has a screwdriver and he's going to fix it. If there's something wrong with your tire, you take it to the guy, he's going to take a screwdriver and he's going to fix it. Maybe it doesn't need a screwdriver. Maybe it needs a hammer. Maybe it needs a brush. The point I'm saying is make sure that your approach it meets what you need to do uh, for publishing. So to help you, make sure that you have the right referencing tools. Be comfortable with them. There's so many good tools out there like Mendeley, EndNote, Biblio. There's so many of them. There's some of them are online. Some of them you have to pay for them. Use scheduling tools. Make sure that you have some collaborative tools like Google Drive, Teams. We have so many wonderful things that the university allows us to use, like KAU, for example. If you log into the e-learning portal, we have so many tools that will help you work together. Uh, and within these ideas of research tools, the question is, where's your publishing tool? Did you contact Scopus? Do you have access to ResearchGate? Do you have access to some of these like Scholar to see uh, the kind of approach that you need to take to publish? So as you embark on the research, you're preparing your proposals. You're thinking about what you need to do. You are thinking about publishing also at that stage. So don't wait until the end to start thinking about, oh, wait a minute, we need something for publishing. No, start thinking about it at this stage where you're looking at the research tools. So the psychology here, this is very, very important. Sometimes publishing is a very, very lonely sort of activity, especially if you work alone. You might have some feelings of being rejected. You might feel like nobody, wants you to succeed. You lose your confidence, and this happens also because of what I said earlier about writing. Some of the scholars I mentioned earlier, they talk about the writing of Saudi students in particular and how they feel a bit disappointed because, again, this comes back to supervisory work. If you have a good supervisor, they will encourage you. They will tell you what you need to do to fix your writing, because there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with us. What we need to do is learn how to overcome those particular problems. So if there's a problem with writing, there's something that has been written about it, which we can learn, read about it, practice, and improve. So what I'm saying here is you need to stay motivated, and to remain motivated, you need to be around sort of like particular feelings and solutions to some of the problems you face. One of them is this particular one here. What happens when the journal rejects us? Again, do we feel like we're not capable of writing? Do we feel like we're losers? No. Here I'm talking about making sure that you work with other people. Use a schedule where you have some sort of outline of what activities you need to achieve and your milestones. So if something happens that sort of stops you from achieving that particular goal, you go back and you say, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to approach this particular publication at the moment. I'm going to approach another publication. So include the tasks about publishing within your schedule. And then when they say no, you've already thought about the next journal, you see. So you didn't wait until the last minute. Okay, I'm going to get in touch with the journal. Now they said no. What am I going to do? I'm going to start doing the whole thing all over again. No, you start from the beginning. You include three, maybe or four journals that you want to publish at, and they're good journals. And you say, okay, I'm going to work my way from this one to this one to this one. I would really like number one, journal of, you know, applied linguistics or whatever it is to accept my paper. But if they don't, there's always the next one. If they don't, there's always the next one. You see, so this will help you stay motivated. It will help you remain sort of like at peace with yourself because nobody likes to be rejected. But when it happens, you are prepared. You see. Um, Make sure you have the key points identified in your schedule also. So we're about to finish the experiment. We need to have examples of papers that show uh, how experiments are written. So this is a particular important milestone. We want to check this out, and then we want to make sure that our project is on track. Oh, we have problems identifying who to interview. Nobody wants to talk about issues of I don't know, learning at the university. Nobody wants to talk about the problems. The students don't want to talk about. Your topic is very sensitive. You can't find enough people to sort of like support you. That's fine. Make sure you include these milestones from the very beginning, because again, did you include something about publication in your milestones? So while we're very good at the experimental side, we're good at the writing side, we're good at gathering the information. One thing we lack, which I really encourage us to have more focus on, is the publication side while we are embarking on our writing journey. So um, eyeballing. I call this eyeballing. And this means, keeping your eye on your progress, because you need something to track all the activities that you're doing so that you're making sure that you're meeting your objectives. It sounds like a repetition of what I said earlier, uh, but it isn't. Here, I'm talking about making sure that whatever it is you're writing is sort of like aligned to the different publications that you're looking at. So you see, you're not just talking about one particular journal here. You're looking at all the other journals and you're saying, okay, they're a bit the same, they're a bit different. So you see, the whole process of writing doesn't take 1 month or 2 months. It takes a whole year probably, or half a year. If you can achieve it in half a year, that will be wonderful. It's not a sort of like a quick process. It's something that you need to dedicate time and refine and go back to it and think about things. And it has a lot of eyeball in here where you keep your eye on your progress and you keep your eye on the whole project, so to speak. So uh, make sure you keep your eye on the ball, basically. This is what I'm trying to say here. You need to also focus on the type of um, academic sort of writing that you have. So here, this is coming back to what I said about the Ondas framework, because all of the things I'm talking about comes from that particular framework. This is where you do more activities and tasks to train you to improve your ability to publish. So having the framework gives you the clear guidance and the goals that you need so that as you write, you get from one phase of the writing to the next phase so that you can also have your meet your objectives, so to speak. And one of them is the academic writing tasks that you need. So we're talking here about not just your topic sentences, your paragraphs, but we're talking about the more critical side of things here, critical thinking aspects of academic writing. So here, this is more like your cognitive side of things. So you're making sure that you challenge the reader, you challenge the particular arguments. You have some sort of angle. You're not just writing because for the sake of it. You're just copying what others have done, but you actually have something to say about your writing. So here, academic writing tasks are very important. You need to be able to split them, especially when you focus on the things that you need for writing for publication. Again, in terms of activities here, what I'm saying is the Ondas framework can also facilitate how you organize your writing. So it can give you specific roles. Remember, we like to work together when we publish using Ondas. It means what? Who has responsibilities for, contacting the publishers, looking at the different types of papers that you will use as examples, making sure that the research project is, up to scratch. You'll find yourself having more than one role sometimes because maybe you're the person who's doing all of these things. That's fine, but be able to change your role, be able to switch between being a writer, being the manager of the project manager, being so many different roles that are very important and dedicated to achieving the success of your publication. Make sure you also take some workshops. There's some really good workshops online which your uh, university faculty, in terms of your college, for example, they didn't provide you enough information on this. So you can also improve something to do with maybe project management if this is a skill that you need. You see, so you actually determine for yourself what you need to do to improve yourself in that particular role. You could be good at one thing, but we're not good at everything else, right? So we need to improve those things. Again, whose role is it to contact journals? Who has that vitamin? I put vitamin here, the vitamin wow. Some people, they know the editors. So uh, maybe what you need is to get in touch with an editor. Maybe you need to know someone who knows someone. These are very useful skills. We call them networking skills. We call them social capital skills. And they are very, very important for us to improve uh, the network of friends that we have who can influence and tell us, oh, look, this journal is looking for people who are publishing in this particular area. If you're coming from a medical background, you know what I mean. There are many, many different journals that are related to different parts of the body, disease, and so on. Medicine, and so many different aspects. So again, make sure you have the people responsible for different roles clearly identified. And if it's you doing most of them, make sure from the very beginning you know what to do. Don't wait till the end to start thinking about contacting the journals. Uh, Group work. Now, here I'm focusing on collaboration because we touched collaboration earlier, and here we're talking about how to brainstorm, how to collaborate, how to work with others, how to know that well I can't do everything, and I will share my time with others who can motivate and help reduce the stress that comes with we got rejected again. Okay, what should we do next? So instead of you thinking of yourself, oh I didn't do this or I couldn't achieve that, it's a group thing. So you need to be able to stay motivated by working with others, writing with others. There are some uh, papers on collaborative writing. You can find them online. Read about how to improve your writing by engaging in dialogue with others. So you ask questions and then you look at okay who's got the best writing here, who can discuss this particular part of the paper. It could be the introduction, it could be even the conclusion. It could be different parts of the actual uh, completion of the form itself, for from the journal. So again, working with others is part of group work. It's part of knowing how to, promote that idea of brainstorming, sharing ideas, and getting that extra edge, basically. Um, so again, Onda says to you, you need to have clear goals. You need to have members working focused and remaining collective in their endeavors, so that the communication doesn't sort of like fizzle. Everybody knows what we're doing. We can facilitate the process. Nobody's commanding. Nobody's too demanding. Everybody knows what to do. Basically, this is what it means to have a group committed to the success of publishing the paper. So uh, another thing is supervised guidance. Don't take your supervisors out of the equation. contact your supervisors. They are very, very helpful. They can provide you with real guidance on how to select the topic you need, the materials you need. Use them. If they're like your friends, your mentors, they're your critical friends. They will help you identify the gaps you need. They will also give you ideas when you're brainstorming. So contact your supervisors so you're not publishing on your own. And because you're working with your supervisors as graduate students, for sure they know the editors. You see, that's where the vitamin comes in. That's where you get the encouragement to get your work published. So, as much as you want to do things on your own, in terms of publication, most of the papers that you touch uh, out there in the journals, you'll find that there's a lot of collaboration involved. There's a lot of people working together. There's a lot of acknowledgement, of who helped the author or the authors. So have a look at some of them and see the top papers in your field and see if the author worked on their own, because there are some really sharp people out there who can do things that we can't do. So, but this is quite rare. You see, the norm is collaboration. The norm is working with your supervisors, getting in touch with people who are in the know, so to speak. Uh, Again, the supervisors can give you some sort of ideas about how to use your literature reviews and how to find the gaps that you need, because these are very important for publishing. So I repeat this here by focusing on what publishers want. You see, journals differ in the kind of gaps that they look for. So if you want to publish at a specific journal, look for the gaps that they're talking about. What is the hot topic that will help you publish your paper? This is what you need to look for, and your supervisors can help you with this. Your friends can help you with this. More importantly, you can also do the reading yourself and identify the kind of gaps that you need to fill. So these are the references that I touched on. We have these five key papers. So if you want to know more about Onda's framework, this is whom you should look for. They have a very wonderful website that touches these things. This is the paper that I used to make references to some of the different technological sort of like link with learning. This is the WhatsApp sort of intervention that we use there. It's through an action research, I think. Yeah, this paper was through an action research. Then we have Al Kasiri here, who talks about how to write a research paper. And here we're talking about the kind of academic problems that students face from Taif University, English language teaching sort of like background. And here we have, again, some sort of challenges that students have. And they're the ones who identified some sort of challenges that you can use to turn into your advantage as someone who wants to get published. So you can make use of these references, you can follow them. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be very happy to sort of share the platform with you because our colleagues can also join.
Thanks a lot, Dr.
Most
Ibrahim,
welcome.
mashallah,
Thank you very
another
much.
great workshop. Now we have enough time, ladies and gentlemen, and other colleagues. We have about 21 more minutes. If you have any questions, please, you can use your microphones, you can use the chat box, and feel free.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, mashallah.
You're very welcome.
Inshallah, next week we'll have another workshop about online writing tools by Dr. Ahmed Jan, inshallah. So stay tuned. If you don't have any questions, I'll post the evaluation form for you now. Please make sure that you complete the evaluation form correctly and
There's a question
include.
here about the recording, Dr. Kamal. Where will you share the recording?
Here are the links for the videos. All the videos can be found on our YouTube channel here.
Everybody's thanking me. Thank you so much for coming.
And
And thank you for having me, Dr. Kamal.
thank you very much. Another excellent and wonderful, valuable, informative, inspiring workshop as usual, Dr. Garba, mashallah.
You're very welcome.
All the workshops since 2018 can be found on the YouTube channel, brothers and sisters. Regarding the slides, Sister Nora, yeah, just send me an email. As usual, if you remember, I always post my email. I'll post it again. Just send me a reminder via email, and I'll email the slides for everybody who requests them. Sometimes the slides are downloadable. You can download them, but and inshallah for today, just remind me via email. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for your attendance. Inshallah, the recording will be ready by tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kamal.
You did a great job as usual, mashallah, and you did us a great favor. Actually, this is your second workshop in one semester, mashallah. And
It's my pleasure. You know,
you can
I
see
just hope it
the
wasn't too rushed.
attendance. No,
Yeah, I
mashallah,
hope it
mashallah.
wasn't too rushed. Yeah, mashallah, mashallah. I hope it
Very
wasn't too rushed, and I spoke clearly, and it's legible.
very informative, very valuable. That is the most important thing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So I'll stop recording now.
Yes, since they